What is up, YouTube? Big Lou here, along with my darling sister, Leanne. We have just come from seeing Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
It's very exciting.
The latest entry in the Harry Potter Magical World universe. It wasn't a Harry Potter movie. It was technically a prequel. Takes place 70 years before the events of the Harry Potter movies. The first movie foray back into the magical world of Harry Potter. Leanne, what'd you think?
I thought it was fun.
I did.
I thought it was really fun.
Yes.
I will say, I might not be the only one, and if somebody else out there can back me up on this, please comment. Did anyone else save their Harry Potter 3D spectacles?
Oh, you should have brought them tonight.
I know. I almost went back in, but then my child would have seen me, and it would have been game over.
Yeah.
I took my Harry Potter 3D spectacles to watch our movie, and it wasn't in 3D.
It wasn't in 3D, which I was okay with.
It was fine. I thought it was super fun. It was very... It just hit you in the feels. To be back in that world, to see things that you hadn't seen. But, I mean, it was different enough that you weren't constantly comparing it.
Different setting with it being in America, different time frame with it being in the 20s.
Even different set of rules, like the American interactions, you know, their kind of social rules for it was different enough that your brain wasn't constantly saying, but that's not Harry Potter. It did a very good job in that aspect, I felt like.
But I agree with you. It was a very fun movie. I had a lot of fun with this adventure.
I will say, what I said to you when we walked out of the movie, it has a very Sorcerer's Stone feel to it. Mm-hmm. It's done a very good job of setting the stage for a new saga to begin, and in much the way that the Sorcerer's Stone does, a lot of it is kind of the fun. Here's all the fun things that witches and wizards can do, and then they slowly started weaving in the political aspects and the social interactions and the backstory that is to come. But I will say, for those of us Harry Potter fanatics that are used to those super deep and meaty films like what 6 and then 7, 1 and 2 became.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a letdown, but you have to just go into it saying it's not going to be Deathly Hallows. It's just not. And so you have to allow for that reboot of a series to happen.
Well, without getting into too spoilerific territory just yet, we'll get into some spoilers later on in the video. Right now, for those of you who haven't seen it, feel free, you can watch safely for right now. We'll let you know when we're going to get into some spoilers, but you're right. And I think that's one of the strengths of the movie, but I think it's also one of the weaknesses of the movie because,
it's true.
Much like for those of you who have seen the theatrical version of Batman v Superman, another Warner Brothers movie, DC being owned by Warner Brothers, it tried too much, I think, to set up future movies, and the story of this movie, I think, suffered a little bit.
Yeah, there were some holes where I just went, wait, what?
Well, and that, but I also think that this movie took a little bit too long to kind of get where it was going. I think they tried to maybe set up a little bit too much, whereas if they had focused just on Newt and his magical creatures...
Yes, and by the way, main character...
Newt Scamander.
Newt Scamander. Yeah, it's going to take me a little while to learn these new names because the 1 through 7s, we know all those characters by heart, and there are a couple that names that are familiar that you hear again, but for the most part these are all new names. So I in fact even made a cheat sheet
who
myself.
By the way, Eddie Redmayne, I love Eddie Redmayne. He to me is one of the most talented actors out there right now. If you haven't seen Theory of Everything, it's the one where he plays Stephen Hawking, and it's an amazing performance. He crushed it as Newt Scamander.
He did, because he really walked this thin line between the clever wizard that has to be a little bit naughty because what he does is really kind of on the outside of what's acceptable behavior. but yet you really can tell where his passion is coming from, that he just genuinely has a heart for these animals, understood and misunderstood.
Well, and not only that, but he wants to share that understanding and appreciation of the animals with other wizards, witches and wizards. And that is, I think, a very, very good message for us just as a society. I think it's very, very cool. So
yeah, that scene when he was...
Hang on. Are we going to get into some spoilers yet? Or
this isn't a spoiler.
Okay, just...
When he was trying to charm one of his animals.
Fair enough.
And was doing a little animal mating dance of thing.
Yes.
It was kind of this animal that looked like a hippo meets a rhino meets a dinosaur, and he's trying to charm the animal, and he does this like maybe it was. I'm still grinning thinking about it. It was very enchanting.
Yeah. He definitely, as they said in Tropic Thunder, almost went full retard on that in that scene. But there definitely some of the other stand-up performances in this. The chemistry that he had with Dan Fogler's character as Jacob Kowalski, the Yankee baker.
Yes, who new term, not called Muggles.
Non-Wiz, non-Maj.
Non-Maj.
No-Maj.
No-Maj.
Yeah.
Yeah, the No-Mages.
Let's just fucking call them Muggles, can we?
I mean, they're Muggles, but
come on.
But okay, in America they're called No-Maj. Takes time.
Yeah.
Takes time.
It's new terminology, and I don't like it.
But he was just so fun to watch.
The line in the trailer really sums it up when he says, "I know I'm not imagining this." He says, "Why do you say that?" He goes, "Because I ain't got the brains to make this up."
I'm not that smart.
So yeah, and the interactions with the two girls too was very, very. It worked for me. I was like,
the four of them worked a lot.
I really liked the chemistry and how they all interacted together. So
yeah.
One of the things that also stood out to me as a very much positive aspect as far as story arc goes was how they interacted with and seeing the American version of the Ministry of Magic, which they called the Magical Congress. Is that what they called it? Something like that?
It had an acronym. This is terrible.
Whatever it was. We saw the movie once and it was last night. So we'll get there. Bear with us. But anyway, what else stood out to you as positive as far as production value and stuff like that?
Well, I will say the actual animals,
the Fantastic Beasts.
The Fantastic Beasts were fantastic.
I loved the design of some of the creatures.
They had everything from a naughty little platypus that stuffs his belly full of shiny trinkets to some really intimidating creatures. But I think not only did they do an excellent job of creating this whole new universe of characters, but they showed the full gambit of Scamander's abilities to interact with every animal, from a tiny little leaf creature that's this big. The
Botruckle, which throwback to, they've mentioned those in the books.
Yeah.
If you're us diehard Potterheads.
To these giant, really powerful beasts that could eat you, but love him.
Yeah.
And so that I think they did a very good job of developing his character through the wide variety of animals that they also had.
Yeah.
For sure. It was very well done.
Well, we are teetering perilously on the border of spoilers, so we're going to go ahead and give this a score out of 10, and then we'll get into some spoilerific territories. So, Liam, what do you give this movie a score on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd give it an 8.
Give it an 8?
I do.
Okay, right on. I'm going to go just a little bit less than that. I'm going to give it a 7.5.
I was thinking 7.5, but I really had a good time watching it. So
leaving last night, I was going to give it a 7, and then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, no, there was a lot of fun in that movie. In this movie, there's a lot of.
You have to let go of your expectations.
Yes.
Of the really deep Potter stuff that we have grown addicted to.
Yeah.
And there is absolutely the potential for this series to go there.
Yeah.
You just have to let the series develop.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the same way that I would have rated Sorcerer's Stone a 7 or an 8.
Yeah. Well, I hadn't read any of the books when I watched Sorcerer's Stone, and Sorcerer's Stone, to me, is still my favorite of the movies.
Ugh, you're a fool.
Because it's the most faithful to the book. Sorry. Anyway.
Spoiler time.
If you haven't seen the movie, pause this video.
Go see it.
Go see it. Come back and continue watching, because we're getting ready to get into some spoilers now. You have been warned. So, spoilering some stuff.
I think this is where the criticisms come in.
This is going to be where some of the criticisms definitely come in, because my biggest criticism on this is going to be with the villain of the movie.
Sure.
And the villain of the movie turns out, spoiler time.
Wait. Do we want to get to that? I mean, that's to me the biggest spoiler. Why don't we talk about some of the other stuff first? You just want to jump right on into the deep end?
Okay, we'll wade in a little bit then.
I'm going to wade in by saying I think they didn't show enough of them actually using magic.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely give you that one.
Because, not to keep comparing, but, for the vast majority of the Potter series, they were kids learning how to do magic.
Yes.
So it made sense that their first inclination wasn't always boom, an instant spell.
Yeah.
Or they would try it and it would get jacked up.
Yeah.
But these are full-blown wizards. One who is used to be, spoiler alert, an aura.
Yeah.
And little things like they're trying to catch a bug and they're chasing after a bug on the ground trying to catch it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bitch, don't you have magic?
You have you've got a wand in one hand and you're going like this, and it's like Accio, cockroach, boom.
Yeah. And they're trying, like, one time they're trying to unlock a door and the spell doesn't work, but magically, not magically, unmagically, the non-mag can just kick the door open.
Yeah.
So there were places I was really excited about the idea of seeing full power wizards doing their wizard badass stuff.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there were some scenes, but there were times where I felt like if I was a fucking wizard,
yeah,
I would never I would open my Diet Coke with a fucking magic spell. Like, what?
The scene where they cooked dinner
that was cool.
Was very, very cool. I will say that. Now, I also will say that the filmmaker in me, because I critique a lot of movies and watch a lot of movies and watch a lot of stories about news articles about production and stuff like that behind the scenes. That shit does get expensive.
I get it.
And it is, you gotta find that line, but I definitely understand where you're coming from on some of the stuff. Like the scene where at the end where they're putting up the magical barrier and what's her name's running to make it and dive under the thing. Fucking apparate, bitch.
So there were some things that I felt like they didn't do justice enough to the fact that these are full-blown wizards who have their full power, that they would be using magic more.
On the other side of that coin, the fight scene at the end, where they were fighting Crevice and they were apparating all over the place, or Credence. I'm sorry, Credence. And they were apparating all over the subway station. That was cool. Was really, really cool looking. So I'm okay with giving them a pass on manually chasing a cockroach, because save their budget for the really cool special effects at the end. So
my other criticism comes, and this is a criticism that I have with many movies where I feel like unnecessarily rigid characters. I felt like the American president was very one-dimensional. And to me, if you are the president and this person in position of elected power, you didn't get there because you're rigid and one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And I get it that you have to have obstacles created in order to move the story forward.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, when the bad guy Graves is trying to basically execute the two main characters, Scamander and Tina, the former Aura, And he was just like, yeah, execute them. And they were like, okay. And they just took them away. Like, there's a structure in place. I'm pretty sure you can't just execute someone because you feel like it.
Yeah.
So, you know, those kinds, there were some specific plot holes that I felt like
were blatant just story devices.
Story devices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of things along those lines that I was... This is going to sound really, really bad, but it was stuff that took me out a little bit.
Sure.
The casting of the woman who played the president.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against a black woman as the president in a movie set in the 20s.
Yeah, I think you can get a pass on that it's in the magical world and the social archetypes are different.
I'm just saying, it took me out because it made me go, oh, okay. And then I was right back in. But something like that just made me pause. Oh, it's in the 20s? Really? Okay, whatever. And then I was right back in.
Yeah.
But from a story perspective, the whole thing about the Salem protesters and the stuff, and I get they had to use that to make it be that show what Graves was up to, and I was just really okay. Where are we going? Let's fucking get there already. And it just an hour and a half into the movie, and I'm like, what the fuck is this movie about? Other than Newt Scamander's got some cool animals in a suitcase
that had escaped, and he was trying to catch.
That was very entertaining to watch,
right?
But it was like, what's the movie about?
Right.
And when we finally got there, it was very satisfying.
It was very satisfying.
But it was a very, very slow burn.
To get there. And I think that you're really starting to see, okay, so, I'm sorry, that probably hurt your ears.
Yes, my apologies.
But now we can go with the big reveal, which is the plot twist at the end.
The plot twist at the end reveals that Graves is, in fact, Gellert Grindelwald.
Right.
And spoiler alert, Johnny Depp is in the movie as Grindelwald.
For about 3 minutes.
Not even.
Yeah.
It's 8 seconds he's in the movie. You'll never hold me. And my biggest problem is the greatest dark wizard of the age that only Albus Dumbledore could stop. They stopped him with a frickin' yo-yo bird.
Well, Scamander's very clever.
I understand that. I just would have been a lot more satisfied if he had said, "You'll never stop me." Boom, flash of light, and he's gone. They didn't actually catch him.
Right.
That would have been a lot more satisfying to me.
Well, because why would the way they catch him is he throws the animal and the plant animal thing, catches them, but does it have magic powers that stops you from apparating?
I don't know.
Oh, but they were inside the protective bubble.
Yeah, but even still, I mean, he would have... He could have
done other things.
Done something to get away. And that would have gone to explain how powerful he was.
Yeah.
The other big issue that I have with Graves being Grindelwald is... Clearly, J.K. Rowling has zero trust in any government at all.
Right.
Because, number one, you look at the entire storyline of the first 7 Harry Potter series and how flimsy the Ministry of Magic seems. And now you let one of the most powerful dark wizards in the world
infiltrate
one of the highest ranks of the U.S. Ministry of Magic.
Well, perhaps he used some, brainwashing.
Yeah,
things.
I mean,
who knows?
Sure, why not? But whatever. I just think that from a story standpoint, I would have been much more satisfied with it had
he had just been one of his fanatical supporters.
Exactly. But all that being said,
or like he was wearing him under a turban, like the imprisoned spirit of
Gellert Grindelwald,
hidden underneath his boiler hat.
Like you said, all in all, this was a very, very satisfactory film to watch. I had a lot of fun with it.
It did what any start to a series should do.
Yes.
It piqued your interest.
Oh, very much so.
It left you with questions.
Yeah.
About Who's this Grindelwald guy? Things we already know about him, but how are they going to develop this? They've already done the foreshadowing between eventually the Dumbledore Grindelwald, conflict becoming probably the dominant story of this
new franchise.
Told
through the eyes of Newt Scamander.
Yes.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I think so too. So for those of you who are looking for the meat, I think it's there.
Oh, yeah.
We're just going to have to ease our way into the deep end.
Yeah. My very much what I'm looking forward to the most, who do they get to play Dumbledore?
I know.
Who do you get to play a young Dumbledore?
Is Dumbledore hot as a young man?
He would have to be.
Why would he have to be?
He's got to woo Johnny Depp.
Yes. Do you think they're going to go there? They're not going to go there.
That's what they've said.
That they're going to do a gay love story between Dumbledore and Grindelwald?
Not necessarily that, but they will be former lovers spited and stuff like that. They are going to tell that story.
Get it?
Yeah.
I mean, they already set the stage. That whole Graves, Credence, that was creepy.
It was creepy. And
it was beyond evil villain, I'm trying to just manipulate you to what I want. It made you feel skeezy.
Yeah. And
P.S. by the way, prediction on my part, Credence, not dead.
I agree.
Not dead.
I agree. Ezra Miller was awesome in that role. He's the guy that played Credence,
yes.
Who's also playing the Flash in the DC movies. So, run really fast.
Yeah, he did a very, very good job. And I will say it was quite a twist because the whole time he's searching for, quote, the child that he turns out to actually be.
Oh, really? You didn't see that coming?
Sure. Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was... I guess I just felt that it was way too obvious that the little girl would have been it.
Way too obvious.
Sorry.
Because my brother's so awesome at movies.
I am, I guess. I'm sorry.
I watch a lot of Elmo at my house. It's not a lot of plot twists there.
Yeah, no, Elmo's kind of straightforward, isn't it? I guess you'll know what the letter of the day is, though.
Yeah.
F.
F.
As in you?
As in you. Okay.
Final thoughts? Up?
Go enjoy a really fun movie that will pique your interest and leave you wanting more.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Again, I give this movie 7.5. Sissy here gives it an 8. That's going to do it for us. Let us know what your score is down in the comments below. Share this video amongst your friends. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time, we will see you on the interwebs.